These are the same guys that have structured their entire lives around valuing delayed gratification over short term pleasures and stopping themselves from instant gratification. Like they have formed their entire life valuing their time and their energy, but they're going to go out and rationalize seeing a sex worker. Like you see how they're going against their own beliefs and their own morals and everything that has brought them past success? Hey, Coach Josh here, back in the studio. In today's video, we'll be covering the topic of why so many successful men go out and choose to pay for sex workers. Because you would think that all the men who go and see these women are guys who are just single and sexless. But that is simply not the case. Because when you see guys like Robert Kraft or Deshaun Watson or all of these other celebrities get caught choosing to pay for sex, it really makes you question, like, what are the motivations for why men want to go and pay for it in the first place? Because when I first started coaching men to quit paying for sex, I thought all of my clients would be single or just unambitious men because honestly, that was where I was as a young man with this addiction. But after speaking with over 100 men one-to-one, I found that a large portion of men were either one, doing well in their dating life, like they could have been in a serious relationship, or two, they were just highly motivated men who were honestly just striving for success in their careers. So today, we're going to be talking about the 3 reasons why successful men find themselves going down the dark path to pay for sex. So for those who are new to my channel, I'm Coach Josh, and I've made it my purpose to help men quit paying for sex and bring this unspoken issue to the light. Because there are so many men who are struggling with this, and I've shown you so many successful men that are out there acting out with sex workers, and I believe there are 3 reasons why. So the first and most obvious reason why many successful men go out and pay for sex is they can afford this expensive habit. Money is not a bottleneck to their acting out behavior like it often is for other guys. So, for example, some men, they might get their paycheck wired to their bank account and then suddenly out of nowhere start getting these fantasies and urges, or they might be preparing for the moment when they do get paid so they can go and act out. But this is way less evident in guys who, can afford to go and hire an escort or go to a massage parlor whenever they please. And this is a blessing and a curse. Because while these men might be able to sleep well at night after wasting thousands of dollars a year paying for sex, it also means that, they don't have this external restricting force preventing them from going in the first place, like a bank account. So it's simply up to them and their own willpower and their own free will to stop going. And due to this, these type of guys often have a more chaotic addictive cycle and are subject to way more frequent urges and fantasies. Due to this, they oftentimes have a more chaotic addictive cycle and they're subject to more frequent urges and fantasies because money does not hold its value anymore when it comes to getting the pleasure from acting out. So while this might be an obvious reason as why many successful men might be continuing to see and are willing to see sex workers, it is worth mentioning because that man is alone and is slave to his own desires and is ultimately fighting a losing battle with willpower. And ultimately, that's the one thing you just want to avoid. So let's dig in a little bit deeper with our next 2 reasons. To have success in any area of your life, you need to have a lot of time, energy, and focus into one thing. It requires a singular purpose. And this one fact in life can lead men to go and act out for 2 different reasons. So one would be they don't want to level up their dating life because they're busy. They're busy. Even though they can afford to go, spend 2 to 3 hours driving to the bank, seeing an escort, coping, feeling bad about themselves, and then ruining the rest of the day. But they can't go out and improve their dating life. A lot of guys rationalize that if they're to go on a date with a woman or they're to seek a relationship, it's going to be way too much effort, right? They just want the sex anyways. They just want the release. They want the relief from any pain that might be there. They want kind of a sexual reward in some cases. They're busy and they have needs that need to be met. But here's the thing, man. Like, these rationalizations make sense in the moment and are oftentimes driving factors as to, lead a man to go and act out, especially if he kind of feels like it's wrong. I'm never going to say that going on a date or being in a relationship is less work because, if we're going to be real, paying for sex is 100 times more accessible. I'm saying the return on the investment for your time to either one, put in some work to become a man with options, whatever that might look like for you, or two, just putting yourself out there more, especially if you're a man of value and are successful in some way of your life. That return is far greater and more fulfilling than seeing any sex worker. Because one is a temporary transactional relationship, and the other is filling and long term. Real genuine intimacy and love is what everyone deep down genuinely desires. However, that concept, that thing inside all of us, has been corrupted in recent years, and you have been corrupting it yourself by years of conditioning with porn, masturbation, sex workers, all these different things. So it might not be the thing that your body seeks. So think about it this way. Like, your body means well, it craves sexual intimacy and love, and those things are inherently good. Those are really good things. But due to these years of conditioning with all these, acting out behaviors of porn, masturbation, sex workers, it looks for it in evil places. So to kind of show you this on a deeper level, I had a client of mine who would always rationalize his use of sex workers because, women nowadays are bad. It's too much work to get a girlfriend. All he wants in the end is sex anyways because he's stressed out at work. He's working a lot. And ultimately, he's just using it as a way to, feel better in the moment. But after working through Recovery Blueprint, he realized what he really wanted. He wanted a genuine connection and real intimacy with a quality woman. So once he got clean using our prevention strategies, he used his energy for the better, and he was able to naturally attract a quality woman who he's now dating and traveling the world with. And it all started with rewiring his brain so that instead of, wanting and craving to go and seeing escorts, his body would actually go after what it genuinely wanted, which was that intimacy, that love, that connection. That's what it wants. And the only way to get there is by not acting out in that way. Going off of that same concept that men who are successful are usually driven, ambitious, hardworking, they have a singular purpose. After working with guys that are up the corporate ladders, guys that are business owners, guys that, have blue collar jobs and their careers are demanding or stressful, oftentimes you see these guys riding these emotional roller coasters. So on one day, everything might be smooth, so easy, everything's light, or you get a hard task completed, or you've dealt with a business bottleneck, and they ride this emotional high and they feel really good about themselves, they feel accomplished, and that can actually lead them to go out and see a sex worker because they think it's a treat or a reward for the efforts that they've been putting in. But that doesn't make any sense, because why would you reward yourself with something that hurts you? That is not a genuine reward. That is self-destructive behavior. On the flip side of that, if you were to look at the emotional lows that some people might be riding on, is for a season at work, everything might be, just constricting, or everything's just demanding on them and the pressure's there. The work might be hard or just forced upon themselves, and guys need to find an escape. Naturally, it has to get done because they need to find a way to deal with that pain and find a temporary solution to alleviate themselves from that pain agent. And you can see that with the sex worker. Like, I've heard guys of going out, running on a lunch break, and instead of going and grabbing food with their colleagues, they go out to their local massage parlor and go and act out just to get a relief, get a sense of pleasure, get something out of it because they're really trying to escape everything that's going on inside of that office. So let's break this down for a second because objectively, that behavior is paradoxical for two separate reasons. Because one, if you feel that all this pain, you feel all this stress, and your way of alleviating that pain is to double down on a self destructive behavior and going out and seeing a sex worker to go and bust nut and feel shameful and guilty afterwards, feel unmotivated, unambitious, and basically just have that whole entire day ruined after the fact. If that's your form of escape or a cope, like that doesn't make any sense. You're just going to return back to the normal state. You got nothing solved. And if you're going to look at the situation from an objective point of view, you're just returning to the natural stressors that brought you there in the first place, and it simply does not make sense. So the second reason why this type of behavior and trying to find an escape in all of this is really paradoxical is the big one. This is one that I need all men to really take note on and think about. This is deep. These are the same guys that have structured their entire lives around valuing delayed gratification over short-term pleasures and, stopping themselves from instant gratification. Like they have formed their entire life valuing their time and their energy, but they're going to go out and rationalize seeing a sex worker. Like you see how they're going against their own beliefs and their own morals and everything that has brought them past success. Like they're fundamentally going against themselves. And it leads to this weird internal conflict. And it doesn't matter what rationale you use to justify that acting out behavior. You know on a deep level, this is not the solution. So I hope that you see this. I hope that you see the logic that you've been using to have success in life and the values you have as a man are not being used to justify seeing a sex worker. You are valuing self-destructive, instant gratification that will lead to pain, if not now, in this moment, then inevitably. Because seeing a sex worker is not worth going and possibly getting in trouble with the law, losing your job, ruining a relationship you might have, or damaging, something with a loved one, getting a disease. Like guys, I've heard too many stories. Too many crazy stories. Men getting robbed, men getting scammed, men getting chased down by a pimp on the interstate, wives and girlfriends finding out. And a new one that came up was a condom broke and they got an uncurable STD. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's sad. And it breaks my heart because honestly, the one constant that I see in all of these stories are that they could all have been prevented. So let me put it this way, fellas. We can use Deshaun Watson and Robert Kraft and all these other celebrities that have gotten caught as an example of what happens to men who are successful with this issue and go and see sex workers. You are legitimately risking your reputation, your finances, your freedom, and your well-being by going out and seeing these sex workers. Like, do you understand how much leverage these women have over you? And I want this message to be clear and put this side out there because acting out with these sex workers of any kind is a foolish behavior and it's a selfish thing to do because nothing is guaranteed. And if you're a guy that, has things going for you, like you're a young man or you have a relationship or you have a family, you have a girlfriend, or if you have a solid career, you're healthy and you have freedom, you need to quit this instant gratification pleasure while you are ahead. Because at the end of the day, all the pain and suffering that you have experienced or will experience does not have to exist. It does not have to be that way. Because if you are a man who is living this double life, like you're focused on your family, you're focused on your work, you're putting in work to all these things, but for some reason on the back end, you're acting out with these escorts and you're going to massage parlors. Not only do you deserve freedom from all of these vices, But you deserve to put all of that energy into things that you care about so you can ultimately live a fulfilling and pleasurable life. So ask yourself this question right now. What do I stand to gain if I were to quit paying for sex? Like, what would your life look like? What is that picture? Put that in your head for a second. Say it out loud. Is it going to be more confidence? Is it going to be able to get, a girlfriend or a woman in your life, be able to get real, genuine intimacy? Is it to become a better father or husband, get closer to God, spend the money that you would be spending on escorts to things that you care about? Or is it just to focus on your work life and become more ambitious and driven because you're using that energy for things that you care about? Like, what do you gain if you're to quit paying for sex? Because the answer to that question will give you hope. Because you need to know damn well that there's light at the end of the tunnel and that a better life is waiting for you to take it. Now, will this be an easy journey? No. There's definitely going to be some bumps along the way. But if there's one thing that I've learned about men who are successful or want to be, is that they are very action driven, and they work very, very well in systems, which is so key for recovery because action builds habits, and habits get results, and results build your confidence in the process. So the reason why this is important is because I have unlocked that process. And I'm currently running interviews for the Recovery Blueprint program. And I have some open spots going into this next month. So if you are accepted, you'll be extended an invitation to join our program where you will learn not only how to quit paying for sex workers, but you'll be shown how to use that extra energy to propel your life forward so you can actually live a genuine, fulfilling life that you love and you deserve. So if you have tried to quit in the past, like you've gone down the route of trying to use your own willpower and try to stop on your own, or have gone to a therapist and that didn't work, and you just want an actionable solution to the one thing that is holding you back in life from being the man that you deep down want to be, go to the link in the comments and schedule a strategy session with me where we'll take a look at your current situation and see if you're a good fit for everything I'm doing inside of this program. So, with that said, stay strong, stay safe, boys. I'll see y'all boys in the next one. Peace.